is this the place? Do I need to be here? Is this detrimental? I needed to do something, okay? I need to try and move on now. I need to fight back. I think there was a very important moment whilst I was in that hospital, is that there was a woman there that was very, very poorly. And I mean psychiatrically poorly, as in psychotic poorly, with a baby. And she was doing all sorts of stuff. And at that point, I thought to myself, is this the place? Do I need to be here? Is this a place that's going to help me get better? Yes, they've helped me keep safer. They've kept us safe. They've got the meds right. But do I need to be here? Is this detrimental? Is it, and it did get to a point where it's like, right, okay, I need to go home now. I've got the right support around me. My husband's there. I've got some other support. Off you go, type thing.
And that's great, isn't it? It's almost as if when you'd first gone in there, you maybe wouldn't identify yourself as being any different to anybody else, whilst it was a shock. But then that sign of getting better is look. It sounds like it's looking around, and it's almost as if I don't belong here.
Yeah, very much so.
What did that feel like? When you were literally like, you didn't like it in there, but over a period of a couple of weeks, and they got your, you say they got your meds right and everything. But yeah, how did that feel like?
It's like being let loose, isn't it? It was just like, right, okay, I can move on now, and you know, was I as positive then as I am now in terms of moving on? Something must have been there to go, okay, I need to try and move on now. I need to fight back.
So, was it around this time that you'd applied for medical retirement?
Do you know what it was actually? It was 2011 that I applied for medical retirement.
Was this after you come out of hospital?
So 2012, I was in hospital as an inpatient. So it was in between that. So in between the two children, I'd applied to be medically retired, and they said, it basically said, yeah, we don't know what's wrong with you, and it's definitely not permanent, and you're definitely not disabled. You definitely can perform.
Sorry, so the medical retirement, that was in relation to your hand and not in relation to the mental health struggles from before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they said no, and I said okay then. So yeah, just kept going.
So tell me about that part of the journey then. So you come out of the hospital, you've applied for medical retirement. In the meantime, where are you, what you're doing within the job?
No, I can't even remember where I was. It was so insignificant. I think, in fact, no, I can remember. They West Midlands Police set up a traffic process office. Obviously, there's nothing I didn't know about traffic. Brilliant. Okay, I'll go and do that. And I had a feeling of, oh, okay, I can do this role. There's some really good people. There was one particular guy that I used to work with. And it's all about, you know what it's like. It's about who you're with, isn't it? It's to how you feel. And, you spend a long time at work, don't you? And this guy was really, really looked after me. So work was reasonably okay. But it still wasn't that level of fulfillment. And I needed to do something. I didn't want to keep being restricted. So I was like, right. Said to my husband, I can remember, I've got an idea. I'm going to join the driving school. That's what I said.
Okay. Hold that thought. I've got one question for you before we move on to the driving school. Do you think policing understands mental health, especially for women, given what you've been through?
No, absolutely not. Not a clue. And I think I think there's a lot of lip service to mental health, but not. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of good supervisors. Well, probably a handful of good supervisors that care. But as an organisation, it's lip service.
Okay, interesting. So in 2014, you finally got a diagnosis for your hand injury. and you were informed that you would need ligament reconstruction in your hand. How did it
Yes.
feel? How did it feel at the time to finally receive a diagnosis?
Oh, Mr. Brewster. Honestly, what a legend that I still remember him. At the QE, and I'd had a pain, and I just said to my husband at some point, I've had enough of this. I'm getting re-referred back to the queue, and they're going to find out what it is. And Mr. Brewster, and I remember him saying, "Oh, Laurie had a look at whatever on the computer. I know what you need," he said. "You need a ligament reconstruction." And I was like, "Brilliant. This is amazing. I'm going to get better on it, but he's going to fix all my problems. Mr. Brewster, he's here to save the day." That's what
I'm
I thought.
assuming you had scans and everything previously. Was it just not picked up?
Oh, yeah, I think that was the case. Whether the amount of scans I'd had was, off the scale of ridiculousness to the point where they had that case conference. So to walk into Mr. Brewster and him saying, "I know what it is. I'll just make you a new ligament." I was like, this relief of, oh yes, it was amazing.
How soon? So 2014, you had the diagnosis. How soon?
Yeah.
How quickly did they manage to operate?
So it was really quick. Really quick. He said, "What we'll do, we'll get you in, we'll snap your tendon here, we'll make you a ligament, and you'll be right as rain." I was like,
Just
brilliant.
like that.
Just like that, yeah. It was a feeling and a half, that was. Yeah, so I had it done, and yeah,
How did it feel?
felt great. I was like, I've got this new ligament, I've got this new hand, anything's possible. Um, I wasn't having the pain that I'd had before. I could sleep. Um, just life was feeling a bit more positive. It was feeling like there was actually a life to be lived rather than existing. So that's the point that I thought, I'm right now. I can go into the driving school.
And this was in 2015, wasn't it? You applied for a role at driver training.
Yeah,
Why driver training?
very- I'm very passionate about road safety. Very passionate. Um,
Do you think that comes back to, again, that very traumatic incident with that student?
yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, it does. Um, very passionate about that. And yeah, certainly about the standard of police driving. And the officers who were on the driving school at the time were very, very good at what they did. There were standards. I don't know whether there is now. I'm saying that with a sweeping statement, but it was, it's a place that I would be proud to work. So I decided that there was a bit of a hiccup actually. So the hiccup here was I was still under the force medical examiner, just about on the edge of being discharged because I'd had the ligament reconstruction. But I was still on my meds for the mental health. And I can remember the force doctor said to me, "Oh, you can't apply, you can't have a job on the driving school or if you're taking diazepam." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went to the GP and says, "I'm applying for this job and I can't be on these meds anymore." So it was a fun.
How about just driving police cars? Would they allow you to do it?
I don't think they did. No, I don't think they did.
Were you still on restricted duties then? So you've had your hand operation, you're starting to feel better. I'm assuming at that point you're still on restricted,
Yeah.
and you applied to driver training while still restricted.
Yes. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they say, well, you're not allowed a role here whilst you're taking this particular medication.
Someone said that at some point, and actually, you're right in that question is I'm right in how I answered. I can remember them saying you can't drive a police car. If you drive your own car, that's obviously down to you and how the meds work and the rest of it. And I was well aware of that. So when I said to the force doctor, right, how can I get the medical all clear to actually get a job here? Right, you need to get rid of that diazepam, which had obviously been relied upon for quite a long time.